It is funny, like you mentioned, we do have kind of the regulars, and when we miss, right, because work gets in the way or travel gets in the way, part of me actually does feel bad, which is a weird thing. I'm like, oh no, should we have sent an email out that the meeting's canceled? That Monday mindset's not going to happen. But I do appreciate those who show up consistently, who make time for these, for those who share these with your team, with your family, with your organization, to try to help everyone get a better mindset. Because right, then the excitement is what happens when we all start moving in the same direction, right? You think of a boat rowing. If you've got 4 people on that boat and 2 are rowing, trying to go that way, one person's trying to go to the right and the other person's trying to go backwards, like we can't go the same direction. So if we all are rowing in the right direction with mindset, then we start to really unlock our potential, not just as individuals, but as families and teams, which is kind of what I want to talk about today. But this idea of unlocking performance and mindset unlocking performance, which I know is what we talked about a lot, right? But I hope that you watched or have seen clips from the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. It was, and I'm not a huge horse racing guy, just not fully familiar with the sport, right? I'll watch the race, the big races that are on, but I don't know a ton about horse racing. But it is fascinating to watch, especially, and kudos to NBC, who can make like a 2-minute race into 6 hours of TV coverage. That is quite the feat. But it was a fascinating Kentucky Derby on Saturday. So there's this horse by the name of Rich Strike. It had 80-1 odds. Just right before the race, it had 99-1 odds. It didn't get into the race until the day before. And if you've seen the footage, Rich Strike comes out of nowhere. I mean, it is so far back in the pack that I saw a video of like a drone footage, a video from above, and you see it and you think, like, oh, it's near the lead as it's kind of moving forward. And then it kind of zooms out and you realize, like, oh, all that maneuvering, and it's still in the middle. That was just to get out of the very back of the pack. And you just see this horse weave its way through, and you just see it like hit the burners, and all of a sudden it's just, and it's going, and it catches up, and the announcer like, and here comes and here comes Rich Strike out of nowhere and wins. One of the greatest long shots in Kentucky Derby history. And I don't know like the full distance of like how far back it came from and how much time it made up, but it was unbelievable. Go Google it, find it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media you have. It's incredible to watch this horse come from behind and win. Now, what was really interesting is they asked the owners after the race, right? These owners bought this horse. An Edmond guy, by the way, the owner is from here in Edmond, Oklahoma, bought the horse for like $30,000 and just made $2 million on it. So I feel like that worked out well. But they asked the owner, like, did you really feel like you had a chance? I mean, you're in the race. You just got in yesterday. The odds were so great. I mean, truly, did any part of you actually think you had a chance? And the guy goes, oh no, we don't enter a race unless we think we're going to win. Like we're not coming out here to participate. We're coming out here to compete. So like we weren't out here just to look good. Oh, Kentucky Derby, this is neat. Because when we enter a race believing that we have a chance to win that, believing that we're going to win that. That our horse raced well here in a previous race several months back, maybe a year back. So yeah, we had full confidence we could compete on this track. They didn't worry about what the odds makers said. Didn't worry about what the experts said. They believed they had a chance. And then they start off, and it doesn't look like they have a chance, right? The odds looked correct. You see it in the far back. There's way too many horses ahead. Even the back of the pack is really crowded. But belief finds a way. They believe they had a chance. It would have been easy at that moment to say, you know what? We showed up. We're at the Kentucky Derby. Let's just finish. Let's just finish. Like, let's not embarrass ourselves. Let's make sure the horse doesn't get injured. The jockey doesn't get injured. Like, let's just finish the race. This is the Kentucky Derby. Great experience. But no, belief doesn't settle. Said, no, we're going for it. We're going to find a way. And again, it wasn't just straight. I mean, this horse is going in and out of horses, which just takes up more time, right? Going to the left and the right. It's going in and out of horses and all of a sudden hits the jets and gets the victory. Belief drives our behaviors, which unlock our performance. Belief, behaviors, performance. Better belief, better behaviors, better performance. That increased level of belief, that mindset of determination, of conviction, of commitment drove those actions, right? They didn't have to find a way through the other horses. They didn't have to find a path forward. They could have just settled. They could have believed that being there was good enough. They could have believed, hey, we just have an average horse. They could have believed, I'm just an average jockey. Could have believed it's not our day. And that belief would have determined that they take certain actions, which would have determined their performance, an average performance, a performance of settling, a performance of just showing up, a performance of just finishing. But their belief was higher than that. Their belief caused them to take certain actions, to find a way, to find a path. It wasn't a straight path, and our paths are rarely straight, right? They were going around and through and over and under and in between, find a way or make a way. But that high level of belief led to a higher level of action, which led to a higher level of performance. Again, even if they didn't win, the belief powered them through to do more than anyone thought they could have or should have done. And that's the challenge for us with our mindset. Do we believe at a high enough level to find a way when it's difficult? Do we believe in a high enough way to ignore the odds makers, to ignore the critics, to ignore the so-called experts who have said what we can and cannot be, who've said what we can and cannot do, who have set limits on us, maybe that we've tried limits that we've tried to set on ourselves? Can we actually smash through those barriers with a higher level of belief so that we can have a higher level of performance? Because our life, like if we're honest, our life really is one big performance. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but our life is a performance. We're performing at work. We're performing at home. We're performing. Maybe you're in sport or other hobbies and activities that you may take part in. We are constantly performing. How is your belief shaping your performance? If we're frustrated with the impact that we're having at work, the impact we're having at home, the impact maybe on our health, the impact on our productivity, the impact on relationships, the impact on influence, is it our belief? Is our belief causing us to hold back, to settle, to have average behaviors, to have average actions, to have average effort? Or is our belief pushing us to a higher level of action, which leads us to a higher level of performance, right? We talk about this with athletes all the time, right? That their mindset is what sets them apart, because a lot of people are really talented. A lot of people are talented athletes. They don't have talented mindsets. They don't have productive mindsets like we talked about a few weeks ago. They don't have a better mindset. And that mindset holds them back. It limits, it inhibits their performance, right? A weak mindset, weak performance. A better mindset leads to a better performance. So it's true for athletes, but it's true for us. What are we doing to think at higher levels? And I watched a video recently of a guy who's like 50 some years old, does ultra marathons. I've probably talked about him before on this podcast, but he said he started just running 2 miles and now he'll do 100 miles. Now he'll do these ultra marathon events. He said, but my body looks the same. He said, I have a 2-mile body and a 200-mile mindset. So when he's out competing, performing, his mindset takes over. I don't quit. I don't get tired. I'm good enough. I have what it takes. Take the next step, one step forward. Right? His mindset unlocks his performance. His belief in himself and in what's possible unlocks his performance. So the question for us today is, where is our level of belief and how is it impacting your performance? Be honest with yourself. Like, do a belief assessment. What is your level of belief and what's the direct correlation to your performance? And what do you need to do to maybe trade up to a higher level of belief, to believe in yourself, to believe in the vision, to believe in the people around you, to believe in what's possible so that you can raise your level of action, so that you can raise your level of effort, so that you can raise your level of intentionality in order to raise your level of performance. Belief drives behaviors, drives performance. If we want to be better performers, we have to be better believers. Tracy, any thoughts?
Yeah, actually, Margaret said, our beliefs truly impact our performance and achievement. So true, yes. So using this example, though, with the horse winner, because it was incredible. I mean, can you imagine how cool that would be? But he didn't believe just because he wanted to believe and it sounded good to believe. He believes because he invested in a great horse. They worked their tail ends off, getting him to be the highest performer. He didn't just go in, I believe, right? Like you said. And so it's that belief backed by hard work, by, we use that know yourself to lead yourself tool where it's like, knowing things about your tendencies and about yourself that you need to change and work on and do the daily grind of really getting in there,
Yeah.
Belief by itself isn't quite enough, but belief backed by all of those things, then the behaviors day by day, moment by moment, then the performance comes. You're so right. I love
It's a early belief, right? I believe we have a good enough horse. I believe we have a good enough jockey. I believe we have a good enough system, process, whatever. So that belief caused you to actually commit to doing all the work, all the preparation, so that when race day comes, they say, did you really believe? Yeah, I believed. I believed a long time ago, which caused us to do the work. And now I believe even more because now my belief is backed by the work that we've done and the preparation. So belief kind of got them going. And then belief kind of got them to another level because they had worked, because they created all the preparation. Because it's a huge point is belief. If it's true belief, it leads to the preparation. It leads to the work. It leads to the action. If you just talk about it, you really don't believe it. And there's a lot of people who do that, right? We talk about, this idea of a toxic positivity, right? People who act like positive leaders, but they're really not. Or people who say they believe this thing, but their actions show otherwise. We always say, I think your words show people what you want them to think you believe. Right? Like what I say I'm about is really what I want you to think I'm about. Where I spend my time and money shows what I'm actually about. So if you really believe it, that action will follow. And then it's just a cycle, right? Belief, action, that ultimately unlocks the performance.
Well, this is cool, Kevin. Anthony, who's watching right now, who's live with us, he said, watching the overhead replay, that winning jockey had great vision to find the path. We were privileged to be there watching in person. And immediately after, no one believed what they saw, but the right people had the right belief.
That's
so
it.
True.
One, Anthony, are you serious? You were there.
I know. Are you kidding me? That's so cool.
Invite. We could be doing Monday Mindset live from Louisville right now.
I know.
Just note to self next year, Anthony. But
Calls.
yeah, how incredible to be there in person. And I think that's such a huge point, right? It's like he had the right perspective. He had the right vision. He could find a path. Instead of seeing every horse as an obstacle, he saw it as a path forward. Right? Like he had that X-ray vision of like, yeah, I see these horses, but I can see a way through and I'm going to get around it. And then I love that, like, belief always looks crazy until it comes true. And that's the really tough part. So I just had a conversation, just did a keynote for a global organization about an hour and a half ago. And we were talking about some of this idea of belief. And one of the guys, great question. And if you know the giant language, I'm going to guess this person was a guardian. He said, he goes, so if belief drives this stuff, he goes, I don't disagree with that. He goes, but I find myself being very practical and very kind of data driven. And it can be hard to because belief is almost believing in like things that don't make sense, right? The data it doesn't always back up that belief. He said, so how do I get there? I said, one, that's you have a great skill set. Like I'm not practical. Like that part of it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me, but it's very needed because sometimes that belief could be dangerous and the data may need to like inform how we show up. I said, so one, it's a massive skill. That doesn't mean you're a bad leader that you don't believe. I said, but you've got a left hand too. Lead with that right hand with the data. I said, but learn to flex that left hand. I said, what I would do is find stories where the data doesn't make sense, but something crazy still, like this one. The data doesn't make sense. The odds didn't make sense. The practical thinking said this horse is an 80-1 odds to win. Which I wish I were a gambling person. That would have worked out really well.
That would have.
But the data in certain situations, the data should drive us. In other situations, our belief has to drive us, and we have to be okay. Part of life is finding that wisdom and balance. Of like when you say, "Hey, no, I know what the data says, but I believe this is possible," and then that's how true greatness actually happens. Is we defy the odds, we defy the unbelief of others, we defy the critics, and say, "Yeah, but I did it."
Yeah. Margaret says true beliefs will eliminate excuses. I'm guilty of creating excuses instead of truly believing I can do certain things. I do the same thing. And you mentioned guardian, not to get too into the voices, but I'm a guardian as well. And so there's a self-protection there that's like, well, but if it doesn't happen, then I can say, well, I wasn't sure, but I really gave it my all, kind of an excuse. And that's not healthy. So.
Yep, that's right. And we can use that. That can be a self-preservation thing of like, well, but and sometimes it's a real thing, right? We need to listen to that data. And like, that's wisdom. It's like, yep, it's too risky to go for it, right? The cost will be too great if we're wrong. Other times and the cost is too great if we don't go for it. I know what the data says. I see it, I hear it, but we have to it's just this conviction And it's a gift that certain people have to almost be able to see the future and see how things play out and to be willing to go for it. And it doesn't always work, right? And that's the thing too. I want to make sure we understand. He may not have won, right? Just because he believed at a high level and did the work, right? Did all the right things, still could have come in 8th, could have come in 2nd, could have come in 3rd. But that belief, regardless, drove his performance. That no matter the outcome, performed at a level higher than people expected. And that's the big thing. It's like whether he won or lost, he would have put his head on his pillow last night saying, I didn't make an excuse. Like I went for it. I went for it, and I'm okay with the outcome, because we can't always be about the prize, right? I have to remind myself, be about the process, not the prize, because the prize we can't always dictate, but the process we can commit to.
Love that. Lots of quotable quotes in here today, Kevin.
Just
like?
quoting today.
I guess. You know what I like about you is how you take these little snippets of things and dig in there and get the gold right out. I love it. It's a great picture. So
I can take a 2-minute race and talk for 20 minutes about it.
That's right. It's beautiful. No, I love it. Inspiring. Thank you, Kevin. I don't think we have any other comments or questions. So hope you have a great week. Hope all of you have a great week. And yeah, we'll see you again next week, Monday.